Before I begin talking, first let me get one thing out of the way. I do not believe that women should not work. I believe that if a woman is capable of doing anything, she should do it, whether that be taking care of children or going out and making a living. However, what's wrong is that other women as a group are going to end up making it hard for individual women to actually go out and live the life they want to do. Let me put it like this. It's like being a part of a union. And let's say that there is a job that goes for $25 an hour. Well, the union wants employees paid $30 an hour. Well, okay, this sounds all well and good, except for one problem. You got another group of people who do not belong to a union, and they're willing to do the job for $20. Gee, I wonder who's going to get the job. Well, since the job is no longer a difference of $5, but $10, obviously the non-union people are going to get it. Common sense here. In short, even if women were able to do a good job at something, it's just because hiring them is becoming prohibitively expensive. Women are starting to go and outprice themselves relative to what their employers are willing to pay. And for those who don't get this, let me go and start off simple. Let's just go with individual instances. Nothing major, just, this is company by company. For example, Brain Labs has decided to go and have a pay gap tax of 8.6%. Now, this sounds all well and good until you realize this is for all women. 100% of women, they get 8.6 increase whether they're the ones doing high-level programming or they're mopping the floors as a janitor. So if you got a vagina, immediately you get 8.6% in a pay gap tax. Now, keep in mind, the pay gap is not what you're thinking, okay? You're not paid less. It's not a pay gap, it's an earnings gap, okay? You are paid what you are worth, okay? If you go and put in overtime, if you're dedicated to the company, if you go above and beyond what you should go and have to do, you're probably going to get paid more than the average worker. That's only fair. However, if you're going to go and clock out as soon as the job's over and your dedication to the job ends where your paycheck ends, well, okay, you're probably not going to be seen as a dedicated employee and you're probably going to make a lot less money. This is basic common sense. In other words, if you're a woman and you're making less, it really doesn't have anything to do with them paying you less. Because believe me, if companies could pay women less money, the entire staff would be nothing but women. Why? Because, think about it. If you're a CEO and you want to go and have windfall savings, hiring all women makes sense because, 73 cents to the dollar towards the man? Come on. You're saving almost 1/4 of your operating costs by just hiring all women. However, because that's illegal, well, guess what? They won't do that. So, obviously, that's why you are not being paid less, you are earning less. You want to be paid the same amount as a man, go to the same amount of links that a man does. That's only fair. So, to get that pay increase, let me put it like this. Imagine instead of men and women, we went and looked at it as people who view their job as just a means to an end, a paycheck basically, and another group who are just complete workaholics. Well, okay, if you're going to go and compare it to workaholics versus whatever, people who just view their job as a paycheck, what do you think's going to happen? The workaholics are going to make a lot more, for the exact same reason as I've already stated. Gender has nothing to do with it. So what's going on is, if you're a woman, because your life choices cause you to earn less money, their viewpoint is, oh, well, they're women. We should go and help them with their self-inflicted earnings gap by paying them more than men. And if you're a woman, this is great. If you're a man, you're basically told to go screw yourselves because you're a man. You're expected to work hard. A woman, she's not expected to work hard. She's expected to be there in order to go and meet some kind of gender quota, and that's it. We don't really care about women working hard. We really don't. But when you're a man, you are expected to work hard. You are expected to be at your job supporting your wife and kids and putting in that overtime and bringing home the bacon and all those other metaphors and cliches. And it's like, well, okay, so basically if you're a male worker, your worth as a worker has decreased by 8.6% because there's going to be a group of people that's going to get an almost 9% pay rise to their paycheck. Then what does that tell me as a male worker? It's telling me that my gender is undervalued, despite that our gender is the one that's getting all the crap done. Still, let's move on from that, shall we? Let's go to another one, where there's a company in the UK, and they actually give women 5 extra paid work days from work just because they have to deal with PMS. Now, a lot of women will be saying, well, this makes sense because different genders, different needs, etc., etc., etc. And I'm like, but wait. I thought that a woman could have a penis and a man could have a vagina. After all, isn't gender nothing more than a social construct? You know, like your height, age, and IQ. All social constructs. Completely made up by society. They don't really exist in reality at all. For example, if you're a 40-some-year-old man, you can go and be a 6-year-old girl. And you'll probably find a family that's willing to adopt a 40-year-old man and lie to him and tell him that he's really a 6-year-old girl. I'm not making this up. This actually happened. The point is that if you're going to sit and say, well, okay, so there are differences between the genders now, and you're saying that because it's a benefit towards women. Yet, if I went and said, well, okay, so women do not belong in the military, the army, the fire department, construction, or any other job that requires physical effort because they're not built for that job and they're not going to be as good of a worker. Men have evolved to go and actually do the heavy lifting. They've been evolved to go and do what needs to be done. But no, you can't say that. Don't you dare say that or you're a sexist misogynist. Well, okay. So apparently, gender differences is only good to bring up when it benefits a woman. And here's the thing that bothers me. It is the double standard, okay? We are being told it is okay to acknowledge that there's a difference between men and women when it suits women. But don't you dare say that there's a difference between men and women when it's a disadvantage. And I'm just sitting here like, so in other words, 2 and 2 don't make 4. It equals 3, or 5. Or all of these, or none of these. It equals whatever the hell we say it is, because as women, we go and get to decide what is or is not misogynistic. Misogyny is just some kind of magic word that no longer means what it used to mean. It used to mean someone that hates women. Now it just means a woman isn't getting her way. That's all it really means. And society at large really hasn't caught on to it, and that's why it still works. And since women get to decide what is and is not misogynistic, they can go and redefine the word however they want. For example, air conditioners are misogynistic because men are forced to go and wear khakis and polo shirts and they can handle the cold air, whereas women are given the ability to wear whatever they want, and by wearing whatever they want, they're usually dressed like they're out to go clubbing, which means they freeze to death. So apparently this is all misogyny in action, and it's also a form of the patriarchy ruining the lives of women through air conditioning. Personally, if I was a CEO of a company and I was really a misogynist and I was part of the patriarchy and everything else, I wouldn't lower the temperature on the air conditioner. Why? Because it causes women to put on more clothes. I'd turn it up to 90s and then have casual bra and panties Fridays. Seriously though, the point though is the same. That if you're going to go and redefine words to mean whatever you want them to mean and then suddenly change those meanings when it's no longer to your benefit, tell me, why would anyone want to hire you? It's like being black and going through black history, or being a woman and taking a women's studies course. All you've really done is learned how to be a victim. You've learned to see yourself as a victim. You've learned to see yourself as being oppressed, and the fault isn't with you, it's with everyone around you. Well, okay, so here it is. You're basically a lawsuit waiting to happen. And as an employer, my goal is to make money, not to lose it. So why would I hire a woman when I can hire a man and not have to put up with any of that crap? It'd just make more business sense is what I'm getting at. But it doesn't stop there either. You remember where I went and mentioned about leave for PMS? Well, it gets worse. You gotta listen to what maternity leave is. And keep in mind, I said maternity, not maternity. Two different words. What's happened is women are now believing that they should go and have maternity leave, which is like maternity, except you don't have the baby, the responsibility, and you got the added benefit of having 3 months or however long you want to take off. Or in the case of the author who came up with this idea, she took a year and a half off to go and do absolutely nothing but geek off, looking to get another job is ultimately what she went and did. For other women, you could probably go ahead and just do whatever, and who really cares? You know what I'm saying? Leave work towards the men, okay? Just let the men cover your duty as well. They can do that for a year and a half, and then when you get back, you can go and expect to have a job. You can expect to have how much money they've been paying you to go and basically do nothing. And yeah, it's all great if you're a woman. Real great. And I'm like, well, I'm a guy, and oh no, I can't do that. I'm expected to work. I'm expected to be here and put in overtime. I'm expected to go and cover my job plus the job of the women who left. Tell me, as a man, how am I not being screwed? And as a woman, you can sit and say, oh, well, this is great, I support it. Well, okay, yeah, you really do support it. But again, if this here actually made it towards law and this became the accepted norm, why would any guy want to hire you as a woman? No, seriously. You're going to go and leave work for months at a time. He's going to have to pay you, and you're just a burden. You're nothing more than a leech. If I could go and do that, I'd work at a job for a year, take a year and a half off, get another job, and repeat the process all over again. And why wouldn't I? Because think about it. As long as people are dumb enough to do it, well, I'm dumb enough to go and actually take advantage of it. But it doesn't stop there either. Women do experience burnout at a greater rate as compared to men. One of the reasons men don't get burnout is because their sense of self-worth is by what they do, okay? As long as they go and work, and they go and put all this effort into accumulating wealth and resources and everything else, they're essentially meeting their self-worth because men aren't human beings. They're human doings. Also, women, they don't have to do anything. They're women. They got worth because they're women. All they gotta do is breathe, and that's it. That's all you gotta do if you're a woman to have worth, is breathe. You're a man, you don't have any worth unless you're actually doing something to go and make your presence on this planet tolerable or at least worthwhile. This is the way it usually works. Well, guess what? If that's the case, again, why would an employer want to hire a woman? That makes no sense. Because guess what? Men don't look at themselves as victims. No, stop and think. They don't. In fact, you go and tell a man he's a victim, he's going to be like, I'm a victim? How? But I'm a man. I'm a lot stronger than a woman and all this. And it's like, well, yeah, that's the entire point. You don't realize that you are a victim. You don't realize that you are essentially killing yourselves for other people's benefit. And these people can go and divorce you and get what they currently get off of you, mostly, and then just leave you living out of a suitcase. And that's even if you do all things right. If you don't go and do anything wrong, you can still lose everything as a man. No, stop and think. Your wife's going to get half of everything you get. Plus your house, plus your car, plus child support, plus alimony. Well, gee, I wonder what would happen if I was a guy and I did the same stunt to a woman. No, seriously, I went and been in a marriage for, let's say, 6 months, or maybe a year and a half, and I said, you know what, I'm just bored, I'm tired, and you know what, I'm getting the house, the kids, the car, you make more than I do, so you're going to have to go and pay me alimony, and because I haven't worked at all, that means I get more money because I haven't worked. No, people would lose their mind. And you know what the funny part of it is? Men only make up 3% of people who collect alimony. The other 97% are all women. And you know what's even funnier than that? The 3% that exists is enough to go and make people lose their mind. Incredible. So here it is, you got someone that doesn't see himself as a victim, and it's like, well, great, guess who's the best person to go and take advantage of? You can do whatever you want to them, and they're not a victim because society says so, and even they will tell you, oh, I'm not a victim. I'm just trying to support my wife who doesn't care about me and my kids I hardly ever see. And in fact, the kids aren't really mine. They go and belong to my wife because I'm just a sperm donor, which means I have to go and do all this stuff to go and support my master, my slave master, the woman, and make her life and her kids' life better. I'm just a servant, that's all I really am. Men don't look at it that way, so, again, if I was the CEO of a company, I'd rather hire a man that doesn't see himself as a victim over a woman who sees herself as a perpetual victim. And I know a lot of you are thinking, well, most of the bosses are men, okay? So maybe that's what it is. Maybe if we just got rid of, male CEOs and replaced them all with women, sure it would. Oh, wait a minute, we already tried that before and it didn't work. No, seriously, there was this one female entrepreneur who had her very own TV company, and she hired an all-woman staff. It was supposed to go and be some kind of female utopia. That's what she had in her mind to be. And it turns out in 2 years, even after making $500,000 the first year, and then selling both of her cars at the end of the second, that still wasn't enough to save her company. Also, things only got better for this woman when she went and hired some outside help that happened to be men. She went and hired 2 male directors to work on a series as camera operators, etc., due to the heavy equipment. And some of you can sit and say, well, that's sexism because women can handle heavy equipment too, and I know, and there's also men who make excellent male ballerinas. But in reality, that's only a small percentage. And as a result of this, that's why the majority, I'm talking about the majority here, I don't care what the minority is, I'm looking at the main demographic. And the main demographic for moving heavy operating equipment, like lights and cameras and everything else, that's mostly done by men. And surprisingly, the office got a lot better. I'm not kidding. It was going downhill. It was just so much backbiting, infighting, and everything else. It was a complete nightmare. And the woman who realized that there is no sisterhood, there is no perfection or any, it's going to get worse when it's all female workers, is what she went and realized. And she actually came out and said, well, if she ever had it to do over again, she'd end up hiring an all-male staff. This way, people would actually just get stuff done and not have to put up with all the backbiting. And you can be mad at me as much as you like, but let's be honest. In a work environment, you tell a man, here's such and such, it needs to be done at such and such time, get to it. He's like, okay, and we'll do the job. With a woman, she'll go and listen to what you're saying, then go and listen to vocal inflection, tone of voice, and all this other crap, and then go and make up some kind of imaginary scenario where you're just dumping work on her because she's a woman. Okay, well, if all this workplace drama is going to eat into what the company actually makes, again, tell me this. As an employer, if your goal is to make money, why would you want to hire women? It makes no sense. And here's the thing of it. In the company of the woman and all, the female CEO, let me make this analogy for you. Yes, arguably, women will go and work good in a group. Okay, I will admit this. But you need to have someone who is the clear, defined leader of said group. Let me make this analogy. Imagine you got a bunch of knife-wielding maniacs and you want to put them at work at carving something, whether that be pumpkins or intricate designs into a fence or whatever it may be. The idea is that, they're pretty good at knives, so go ahead and bank on what it is. Alright? But keep this in mind. You need a clear, defined leader. Why? Well, here's the thing of it. You got a bunch of knife-wielding maniacs. Well, okay. If there's no leader, there will soon be one. And how do you think that leader's going to get to be there? That's right. They're going to fight amongst themselves until somebody arrives at the top. That's the same thing with women. That's what I'm saying about women. They will do good but you need a clearly defined leader at the top that everyone will listen to and respect in order to get their job done. So, I'm not saying women aren't good at this or that, but I am saying that based on the way that women are, you need to go and manage it in a way that is different from men. Surprisingly, men and women think differently. Okay? Yeah, it's not just that one of them has a penis and the other has a vagina. It's not that simple. Men are usually more visual creatures. They're more goal-oriented. They want to get stuff done. And women, well, I'm not making this up. I'm actually heard this saying that, oh, well, women are really good at talking and everything else. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. They're very good at it, but what about actually implementing anything? How long do men talk about something, and how much time do they spend in getting stuff done? You gotta understand that we're talking about strengths and weaknesses here, okay? I'm not saying this one's definitely good at this and this one's definitely good at that. I'm saying they are good at what they are good at, but they need to be managed in a way so their strength doesn't eat into the running budget. And also, before I go and say anything else, I have to go and end off on a very important message. We are in a recession right now, okay? We're in a recession. This is a boss's dream come true. This does not mean that the boss is going to go and hire more people at cheaper prices. It don't mean that. It means he's going to hire fewer people at cheaper prices, and he's going to get more work out of them because we are in a recession, okay? Listen to everything I just went and said. Let me ask you this one question. If you were running your own business and you just heard everything I just said, tell me this. Why would you want to go and hire women at all? Because women are going to eat into the budget. They're going to basically bring negative income to the company as compared to having a man do the same job in the woman's place. And you can be as mad about it as all you want to be, fine. But here's the thing of it. That's why I'm asking you, well, what would you do? Because answering what to do is not the point of this video. The point of this video is to bring up that there is a problem. In order to fix a problem, you have to acknowledge that there is a problem to begin with. That said, if anyone has a problem with what I just said, then answer me this. If you were an employer and you wanted the best work you could go and get, tell me. Why is it that you'd want to fool with women in the first place? They're too high maintenance. They cost more to hire. They go and take more vacations. They go and burn out way sooner than men do, and women in general just want to do what benefits them, which unfortunately doesn't benefit you as an employer because, well, them pursuing their own life expectancies and everything else, that's going to cut into your profit. Better have someone who views themselves as a working drone that you can milk off of for as much as you can. And yes, I do realize what I'm saying doesn't paint men in a very good light either. It paints them as just wind-up automatons that set out to do a job and that's it. But keep in mind, I am not talking about men versus women. I'm talking about business. I'm talking about making money. And frankly, I'm not kidding. The entire point of a business is to make money. That's the entire reason they exist. Do whatever you can do whatever you want to do, as long as it makes you money, it's okay. It's kind of like saying, well, why do these companies go and dump harmful chemicals into the river or do this and that and whatever else? And it's like, well, what are they fined for doing this? Now, how much is it going to cost to go and do it the way they're supposed to? Well, if the fines are less, they're of course going to do it. Now, of course, if their view as a company goes downhill and people don't want to do business with them anymore because of that, that's going to eat into their profits. So again, it's all money-oriented. And to go and sit and say, well, women should be hired because we got a gender quota. And I'm like, well, that's really nice and all, but guess what? As soon as that gender quota is hit, guess what's going to happen? They're going to be putting as few women as they possibly can into stuff that probably don't matter, and then get the men to do the really important stuff. And again, this works great if they haven't met that gender quota, but the minute they've met it, as a woman, you're screwed. You got no leveraging power, because what are you going to go and say to these people that would make them want to hire you? That you're going to go ahead and work like a man, you're going to go and kill yourself, you're going to die at an early age, and you're going to go and take fewer vacation leaves, you're going to go and actually work more than anything else and all. I mean, you can go and say that, but if you don't live up to what you're saying, what do you think's going to happen? That's right, they're going to fire you because you're draining their assets. And this is why I am asking you this question. If your goal is to make money, which it should be, because what are you doing working as a company if that isn't your goal, then please tell me, by all means, why would you ever think of hiring a woman over a man? It makes no sense over everything I just listed.